The quiet of space was broken by a strange, almost unnatural light. Commander Lucas Bennett sat in the control room of the orbital station, staring at the screens. Outside, Earth looked peaceful, calm, almost unaware of the danger that approached. Yet far above, the dark expanse of space was beginning to fill with objects that were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A fleet of ships appeared on the horizon, moving with perfect formation, their sleek shapes shining like silver under the sunlight. They were tall, sharp-edged, and completely silent. Lucas felt a chill run down his spine. "Emily," he called, "get over here. You need to see this." Dr. Emily Hayes hurried into the control room. She was the lead scientist of the Earth Space Defense, and she had studied stars, planets, and distant signals for more than 15 years. Yet even she felt her heart skip a beat. What are they?" she asked, voice trembling slightly. "They are Zarthians," Lucas said almost quietly. "We have only seen them in old records. They are supposed to be the most advanced civilization we've ever known." Emily leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the image of the ships. "But why would they come here? Earth is small. Primitive. They usually ignore us." Lucas shook his head, frowning. "That's what worries me. Something about humans. I think they're curious. Or maybe they see something in us that they don't like." The ships drew closer. They moved as if they were alive, their surfaces gleaming and shifting with subtle energy. Each ship was enormous, many kilometers long, with strange markings etched into their metal that seemed to glow faintly. The fleet surrounded Earth slowly, carefully, but not threateningly, at least not yet. From the observation deck, Lucas and Emily could see the ships casting long shadows across the Earth's orbit. Cities below were lit by the morning sun, people going about their normal lives, completely unaware of what was happening above. Lucas thought about the millions of lives below and felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. This was not a drill. This was real. "Emily," he said, "send a message to the United Nations. Get all our military leaders and scientists together. Now, tell them, we may not get another chance." Emily nodded. She quickly moved to her console, sending alerts across the globe. Within minutes, Earth's top officials and military commanders were on video calls, watching the same view that Lucas and Emily were seeing. The silence of the universe felt heavy, almost unbearable. The Zarthian ships had stopped near Earth's orbit. They did not attack. They did not speak. They simply hovered, observing, waiting. It was an intelligence unlike any humanity had seen before, calm, patient, and unyielding. The aliens seemed to measure every detail, calculating every possibility, and yet they gave nothing away. Lucas clenched his fists. "They think we are weak," he muttered. "They probably believe they can take us with one strike." Emily shook her head. "They may have underestimated us. But that doesn't mean we can underestimate them." As the hours passed, scientists across the globe began scanning the ships, sending every signal, every analysis, into the deepest corners of human research databases. Emily's team worked tirelessly, trying to understand what made the Zarthians so advanced. Their shields were unlike anything humans had built, their engines faster than light itself, their weapons hidden, silent, and powerful. But even in the face of such overwhelming power, humanity's curiosity and courage did not falter. Lucas watched young pilots training in simulation pods, preparing for a fight that may never come, or a fight that could decide the fate of the planet. He watched engineers testing new weapons, scientists theorizing strategies, and civilians looking up at the sky, wondering if this was the beginning of the end, or the beginning of something greater. Emily stepped closer to Lucas. Do you think they're afraid of us?" she asked quietly. Lucas considered her question. "I don't know. Maybe not yet. But there is something about humans. We survive. We adapt. We fight back. That is the one thing no one else has been able to predict." The days went by. The Zarthians remained near Earth, studying, observing, testing the planet's defenses without striking. At first, humanity panicked. Cities prepared for evacuation, governments mobilized armies, and people waited for the first sign of attack. Yet as the hours stretched into days, a strange feeling of determination spread across the planet. Even ordinary people felt it. Farmers in small villages, children in schools, workers in cities, everyone began to realize that Earth was their home, and they would not give it up easily. The Zarthians may have had the technology, the size, and the experience, but humanity had something they could not understand: heart. One night, as Lucas looked out at the glowing alien fleet, he thought about the countless civilizations the Zarthians had destroyed or dominated. And yet, here they were, hesitating. Perhaps, Lucas thought, they had never met a species like humans before. Perhaps they had never met beings who could survive anything, no matter the odds. Emily joined him on the observation deck. She placed her hand on the railing, staring at the fleet. They are watching everything. But they have not attacked. That means, we still have a chance. Lucas nodded. Yes. And when the time comes, we will show them what humans are really capable of. Not with weapons alone, but with courage, with unity, with ideas they cannot even imagine. The alien ships glimmered under the starlight, quiet, menacing, yet somehow hesitant. The peaceful void of space was no longer so peaceful. And as Earth's people watched the skies, unaware of the full danger, one truth became clear. Humans were about to face the galaxy and they would not be found weak. And for the first time, the Zarthians realized that the species they had once thought primitive might be the species to challenge everything they knew. Lucas tightened his grip on the railing. It begins tomorrow, he said. And whatever happens, humanity will fight. The stars stretched endlessly around Earth. The alien fleet hung motionless, but their presence was a reminder that the universe was not a place of safety. Yet for the first time in history, humans looked up at the sky and felt ready. Ready to rise. Ready to survive. Ready to show that the smallest, simplest species could hold a power that even the greatest civilization feared. The quiet of space was gone. The arrival of the Zarthians had changed everything. The moment had come. The Zarthians, calm yet intimidating, sent a delegation toward the neutral space station that orbited just beyond Earth's atmosphere. The world held its breath as the ships docked. They were immense, their surfaces smooth and metallic, reflecting the light of the distant sun like liquid silver. From inside the station, Captain Daniel Foster prepared himself. This was a meeting no human had ever faced before, a direct confrontation with a species that had dominated the stars for thousands of years. Daniel adjusted his uniform and checked the communications panel one last time. Scientists, diplomats, and military officers watched silently, their faces tense. Among them were Rachel Miller and Michael Hayes, two of humanity's brightest minds, who had spent countless hours trying to understand the alien ships and their technology. Now, their work might decide the fate of the planet. The hatch opened with a hiss. Two Zarthian delegates stepped into the chamber, their tall, angular frames looming over the humans. Their skin was a pale metallic gray, almost blending with the walls of the station. Their eyes, black and unblinking, held a cold, calculating intelligence. One of them, clearly the leader, raised a hand and spoke. "You are primitive," it hissed, its voice harsh and echoing. "Your world is insignificant. We have seen countless civilizations. None of them deserve life beyond their own planets. Your species is weak." Daniel's jaw tightened, but he stood tall, meeting the alien's gaze without fear. "We may be small," he said calmly, "but we survive. And we fight for our home. Earth belongs to its people, and we will not give it up." The room fell silent for a moment. Even the scientists seemed to hold their breath. The Zarthian studied him carefully, its head tilting as if weighing his words against some hidden standard. Then it spoke again. "Foolish. Strength alone cannot save you. Your weapons are weak. Your defenses are crude. We offer you surrender. Submit and we will spare your world. Refuse and we will end your species before your planet even realizes the danger." Daniel's eyes did not waver. Submission is not an option. Humans do not give up. We learn, we adapt, and we fight. If you think you can take our home without a struggle, you will be surprised. The alien paused. There was a flicker of something unreadable in its eyes. Perhaps it had never met a being who spoke with such conviction in the face of total power. Meanwhile, across the station and even back on Earth, scientists and engineers were working frantically. Rachel Miller and Michael Hayes were at the forefront, analyzing every transmission from the alien ships. Their screens filled with streams of data, shields, propulsion systems, energy readings. At first, it had seemed hopeless. The Zarthian technology was far beyond anything humanity had developed. But as they dug deeper, small inconsistencies began to appear, tiny flaws hidden in the alien design. "This is it," Rachel whispered, eyes wide with excitement. "They think everything is perfect. But it's not. There are weak points. Small openings in their shields, inconsistencies in their energy flow. If we can exploit these..." Michael nodded. "It's risky. One wrong move and we could trigger a disaster. But if we succeed, humanity has a chance. A real chance." On the station, Daniel continued speaking to the Zarthian ambassador, buying precious time. He asked questions about their intentions, their fleet, their technology, all the while aware that every word, every gesture was being observed by humans and aliens alike. He could feel the tension in the room like a living thing. The Zarthians were calm, but their patience had limits. Any misstep could spark the first real battle. Back on Earth, radar stations and satellites monitored the alien fleet. Civilians watched the skies in fear and awe, wondering if war was inevitable. But scientists like Rachel and Michael refused to panic. Instead, they saw opportunity. The flaws they discovered could be the key to survival and perhaps even victory. Daniel felt a strange mixture of fear and determination. He knew that this first contact could define the future of humanity. If he failed, Earth could be destroyed. But if he succeeded, humans might gain respect in a galaxy that had long dismissed them as insignificant. The Zarthian ambassador finally spoke again. "You are brave, but bravery alone cannot save you. Within your species is a spark of resistance, but it is meaningless. Accept your fate." Daniel's voice was firm. Humans have faced extinction before. We have survived plagues, disasters, and wars. We will survive this too. And when you leave, you will remember us, not as weak creatures, but as humans who fought to protect their home. The alien paused longer than before. There was no warmth in its gaze, but there was interest. Perhaps curiosity. Perhaps caution. Daniel did not know, and he did not care. He had made his stand. While the verbal standoff continued, Rachel and Michael worked furiously, running simulations of potential attacks, defense strategies, and the vulnerabilities they had discovered. They tested different scenarios, calculating which moves would inflict the greatest damage with the least risk. Every second mattered. The Zarthians were watching, perhaps unaware that their own technology could be used against them. Daniel glanced at the scientists. "Are we ready?" he asked quietly. Rachel gave a small nod. "We're ready. We found their weak points. If it comes to battle, humanity has a weapon they don't expect: intelligence and ingenuity." Michael added, "They may have advanced technology, but we have something they underestimate: creativity, courage, and the will to survive." Outside the station, the alien ships continued to hover silently, their presence overwhelming. Yet even in their perfection, they were imperfect. The humans could see it now, and the realization gave them hope. The first contact had not ended in violence, but it had changed everything. Humans understood the stakes. The Zarthians had underestimated them, dismissing them as primitive. But humans had seen the cracks in their armor. A fire had been lit, one that the aliens could not see yet. A fire that would grow, fueled by courage, intelligence, and the desire to protect home and family. Daniel Foster straightened, taking a deep breath. He knew that this was only the beginning. Words had been exchanged, threats had been made, and secrets had been revealed. The humans had survived the first contact, and they had done so with dignity and determination. The Zarthian ambassador studied him one last time, then turned to leave. "We will see if your species survives," it said, voice low and cold. "But do not mistake survival for strength." As the hatch closed behind the aliens, Daniel exhaled. Around him, humans were already preparing. Scientists analyzed data, engineers checked systems, pilots ran simulations. Everyone understood one truth: Earth had a chance, but that chance depended on humanity working together, using every skill, every mind, every ounce of courage. Rachel Miller leaned over to Michael Hayes. "They think they are superior," she said softly. "But we've seen their weakness. And we will use it." Michael smiled slightly. "They won't know what hit them. They never expect humans to fight like this." Daniel walked to the observation window, looking out at the alien fleet still hovering in orbit. For the first time, he felt a spark of confidence. Humanity might be small, but they were clever, brave, and determined. And clever, brave, determined humans had a way of surprising even the most advanced civilizations. And so, the first contact ended without a single shot fired. But in the minds of humans, a plan was already forming. The Zarthians believed they were in control. They did not yet understand that humans had something far more dangerous than weapons or numbers. Humans had heart, and a mind that refused to accept defeat. For the first time in history, the galaxy might have underestimated humans, and that mistake would have consequences the Zarthians could not imagine. The silence of space was shattered by sudden bursts of light and fire. The Zarthians had made their move. Massive ships glided through Earth's orbit with precision, their weapons charging ready to strike. Humanity had expected this, but nothing could prepare anyone for the sight of such overwhelming force. Commander Lucas Bennett stood in the control room, eyes locked on the main screen. The first wave of alien fighters approached. "All units to stations. Pilots, prepare for combat," he barked, his voice steady, hiding the tension he felt inside. "This is what we trained for. Remember, we are not weak. We adapt, we fight, we survive." In the cockpit of her fighter, Emma Clark checked her instruments. Beside her, Nathan Roberts adjusted the targeting systems. Both were young but experienced pilots, known for their daring maneuvers and quick thinking. "Ready, Nathan?" Emma asked, her voice calm despite the chaos outside. "Always," Nathan replied, eyes fixed on the alien ships. "Let's give them a surprise they won't forget." The first clash was sudden and brutal. Zarthian weapons fired beams of concentrated energy that could obliterate a human ship with a single hit. Explosions erupted in space as smaller vessels were torn apart. Yet Emma and Nathan led their squads with precision, dodging attacks, weaving through debris, and striking the alien fighters from unexpected angles. Lucas watched the battle unfold from the command center. He had anticipated that humanity's smaller fleet could not face the Zarthians head-on, but brute force was never the plan. "Use traps," he instructed. "Lure them toward the stations. Let them think they have an advantage." Engineers on the orbital stations had prepared carefully. The stations were old, considered obsolete for years, yet Lucas and his team had turned them into lethal bait. When the first wave of alien ships chased the human fighters near the stations, automated turrets and energy nets activated, immobilizing the enemy and giving the human pilots an opening to attack weak points discovered by Rachel Miller and Michael Hayes. The Zarthians were caught off guard. Their calculations had assumed that humans were predictable, that strategy and ingenuity were limited in a primitive species. But humans were anything but predictable. Every strike, every movement, every feint was part of a carefully planned response. Emma's squad maneuvered around a massive alien cruiser. With a sudden twist, she fired her energy disruptor directly at the ship's shield generator. The cruiser shuddered, sparks flying along its hull, and soon it drifted helplessly as smaller human fighters targeted critical systems. Nathan followed, guiding his team to disable communications and weapons arrays. One by one the alien ships fell into chaos, their formation breaking. Lucas felt a surge of hope. "It's working," he said. "They didn't see this coming. Keep pushing." On Earth, scientists monitored the battle in real time. Rachel Miller's hands flew across the keyboard as she adjusted calculations for shield weaknesses and weapon ranges. Michael Hayes coordinated with orbital engineers to reroute energy and firepower to critical points. Humanity had turned every weakness in the alien fleet into a weapon, every small victory multiplying the next. Even civilians watching from the ground felt the change in the air. People who had feared defeat now watched screens filled with explosions and flashes of light, showing that humans could fight back. Across the world there was a collective hope forming, a belief that Earth could survive this war. The Zarthians, however, were shocked. Their sensors had detected every human movement, yet the humans had found gaps, weaknesses, and tactics that no calculation could predict. Commander Tkar, leading the Zarthian fleet, could not understand it. How do they adapt so quickly? Their reactions are unpredictable. Their courage is unnatural. Emma and Nathan pressed their attack, drawing the enemy into a trap near an old space station. Energy nets ensnared the alien ships and human fighters struck at precise points. Explosions lit the void, burning trails across the black canvas of space. The Zarthian fleet faltered for the first time, their confidence shaken. Lucas coordinated strikes across multiple fronts. Using satellites, automated defense systems, and strategic positioning of human ships, he created a battlefield that forced the alien forces into mistakes. Simple human ingenuity, combined with courage and adaptability, was proving to be more powerful than the Zarthians' superior technology. Inside one of the alien cruisers, panic spread. Officers argued over the best course of action, their perfect calculations failing against the unpredictable humans. Commander Tkar struggled to regain control, but the humans had already started to exploit every weakness, every flaw, every misstep. Meanwhile, on Earth, engineers continued to repair and upgrade the stations, turning each one into a strategic advantage. Rockets, energy shields, and automated weaponry were placed carefully to maximize impact. Every victory in space gave hope to the people below, inspiring a determination that no alien force could break. The first day of battle ended with a shocking revelation. Several alien ships had been destroyed or heavily damaged. Human pilots had survived maneuvers that should have killed them. The Zarthians had underestimated the adaptability and resilience of humans, thinking that small size and limited technology meant weakness. They had been wrong. Lucas gathered his team. "Today we have shown them something they never expected. Humans are not easy to destroy. We do not rely only on strength or weapons. We rely on courage, creativity, and unity. And that is something no calculation can beat." Rachel and Michael entered the command room, excitement in their eyes. "We found another weakness in their formation," Rachel said. "If we can exploit it, we can turn the tide even further." Michael added, "They may be stronger, faster, and bigger, but humans fight smarter. Every move they make, we can counter if we plan carefully." In space, the Zarthians regrouped. Their pride had been wounded, their certainty shattered. Commander Tkar realized that humans were unpredictable, dangerous in ways they could not anticipate. The aliens had assumed victory would be easy, but every calculation had failed. Emma and Nathan, exhausted but determined, regrouped with their squad. "We did it," Nathan said, glancing at the damage they had caused. "But this is just the beginning. They'll come back stronger." Emma nodded. "Then we'll be ready. We always are. We adapt. We fight. We survive." Lucas looked out of the command center window at the stars beyond Earth. The Zarthian fleet was still out there, massive and threatening, but the humans had learned something important. Strength was not measured by size or firepower alone. It was measured by heart, by courage, and by the will to survive. And humanity had all three in abundance. As night fell on Earth, people looked up at the sky, unaware of the full scale of the battle above them. But the light of human determination shone brighter than any star, and the Zarthians began to understand a terrifying truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. The war had begun, and humanity had already proved that even the smallest, least advanced species could strike fear into the hearts of a galaxy. The first blood had been drawn, and the universe had taken notice. And in that moment, Lucas realized that the fight for survival was also the fight to earn respect. A respect that no alien could take lightly. Weeks passed, and the war in space had become a battle of endurance, intelligence, and courage. The Zarthians were powerful, their ships massive, their weapons capable of destroying entire cities with a single strike. Yet humans had begun to find ways to fight back, small victories that slowly added up. Commander Lucas Bennett watched the reports coming in from all fronts, his eyes tired but sharp. "Emily, any progress?" he asked, turning to Dr. Emily Hayes, who had been working tirelessly in the command center. Screens filled with calculations and energy readings flickered around her. Emily's face was tense, but her eyes glimmered with determination. "I think I've found something," she said. "A flaw in their shield system. It's small, almost invisible, but it's there. One precise strike could destabilize an entire fleet if we target the right points." Lucas leaned forward. "Are you sure?" "I've triple-checked," Emily said. "If we act carefully, it could change everything." The news spread quickly among the pilots and officers. Emma Clark and Nathan Roberts, who had already distinguished themselves in earlier skirmishes, volunteered for the daring mission to strike the Zarthian command ship directly. This would be the most dangerous operation humanity had ever attempted, but everyone knew it might be the turning point of the war. The human fleet prepared meticulously. Engineers reinforced the fighters, technicians ran simulations, and scientists calculated every possible outcome. Pilots went over the mission again and again. Every small detail mattered. Emma checked her controls, while Nathan reviewed the coordinates and attack patterns. "We have one chance," Emma said quietly. "One chance to hit them where it hurts." Nathan nodded. "Then let's make it count. We survive or humanity survives." As they approached the Zarthian fleet, the enormity of the enemy became clear. Ships larger than cities loomed like mountains in space. Energy beams glowed across the void, and smaller fighter crafts patrolled every corridor. The aliens were alert, ready for any human movement. Lucas coordinated the strike from the command center. "Remember, we are not just fighting with weapons," he said. "We fight with our mind, with teamwork, with courage. Move together, strike together, survive together." The human fighters weaved through the enemy ships, dodging blasts and slipping past patrols. Emma led one squad, Nathan the other. Their mission was precise: infiltrate the command ship's defenses, strike the weak point Emily had discovered, and escape before the aliens could react. As they neared the target, tension filled the cockpit. Even experienced pilots like Emma and Nathan felt the weight of the mission pressing down. But there was no fear, only focus. "Steady," Emma whispered. "Eyes on the shields." Nathan activated the targeting system. Small gaps flickered in the massive energy shields surrounding the command ship. This was Emily's flaw. If exploited correctly, it could destabilize the entire fleet. With coordinated precision, the human fighters fired. Energy beams struck the weak points, and immediately, a ripple of instability spread across the command ship's defenses. The alien vessel shuddered, sparks flying along its hull, and a series of explosions erupted inside. Lucas watched in awe as the Zarthian fleet reacted. Ships scrambled, trying to protect the command ship, but their formation faltered. Smaller human squads, following the initial strike, attacked critical points in other ships. The ripple of damage spread like fire across the fleet. On Earth, people watched broadcasts of the battle with a mixture of fear and hope. Cities sent additional resources, building new fighters and supplying pilots for the mission. Civilians volunteered, engineers worked around the clock, and children and adults alike felt a part of the struggle. For the first time, humanity's unity was visible to the entire world. In space, the Zarthian commander realized their calculations had failed. "Humans, they are nothing like we thought," he muttered. His fleet faltered, disorganized, and vulnerable. Every move they had predicted had been countered by human ingenuity and unpredictability. Emma and Nathan executed the final part of their mission. They penetrated deeper into the command ship, targeting the main reactor. Energy surged and alarms blared as the ship shook violently. Explosions rippled through the vessel, sending shockwaves across the fleet. Human fighters pulled back quickly, retreating to safer positions, while the Zarthians struggled to contain the chaos. Lucas guided the remaining human forces. "Keep the pressure. Focus on the weak points. They cannot recover if we stay ahead." The aliens tried to regroup, but it was too late. The flaw Emily had discovered, combined with humanity's courage and quick thinking, had shifted the balance. Ships were destroyed, communications disrupted, and the once mighty fleet was thrown into confusion. On Earth, celebrations were muted but heartfelt. People cheered as news came in: humanity had won the upper hand. Young pilots like Emma and Nathan became symbols of hope, inspiring a generation to stand tall even in the face of overwhelming odds. Back in space, Lucas watched the final maneuvers. Human ingenuity had triumphed over alien technology. Strategy, courage, and teamwork had proven stronger than size and firepower. Every victory reminded him of Emily's words: "Even the smallest flaw can be the key to survival." The Zarthians, facing unexpected resistance, began to retreat. Commander Tkar realized the humans were not just fighters, they were thinkers, planners, and innovators. No calculation could predict every human move, no algorithm could account for their creativity and courage. Emma and Nathan returned to the human fleet, their fighters battered but functional. "We did it," Nathan said, exhaustion in his voice. "We actually did it." Emma nodded, eyes scanning the stars for any remaining threats. "This isn't over," she said. "They'll come back and they'll be stronger. But now we know we can beat them." Lucas addressed the fleet. "Today humanity has turned the tide. Not with larger ships, not with stronger weapons, but with courage, intelligence, and unity. Remember this lesson. The universe may think us small and weak, but we have the heart and mind to survive and thrive." In the command center, Emily and Michael watched as energy readings confirmed the command ship's destruction. "They underestimated us," Michael said. "They never imagined humans could be this unpredictable." Emily smiled. "That unpredictability is our greatest weapon. They may have the stars, but we have the will to fight for home, for family, for survival. And that makes all the difference." Across the galaxy, the surviving Zarthian fleet retreated into deep space. Their pride had been wounded, their certainty shattered. For the first time, they understood a truth they had never faced before. Humans could not be controlled, calculated, or defeated easily. Back on Earth, the population celebrated cautiously. The war was far from over, but the first major victory had been won. Humanity had proven that strength is not measured by size or firepower alone. It is measured by courage, creativity, and the determination to protect what is loved most. As night fell, Lucas looked out at the stars, feeling a rare sense of hope. Humans had survived the first wave of the Zarthian attack. They had adapted, fought, and won against a foe that had never lost. And they would continue to fight, using every tool at their disposal: mind, heart, and courage. The war had begun, but humanity had found its rhythm, its strategy, and its courage. The tide had turned, and for the first time, the galaxy could see that humans were a force to be reckoned with. And somewhere deep in space, the Zarthians whispered among themselves, finally realizing that the species they had dismissed as primitive might be the most dangerous opponent they had ever faced. Lucas watched the sunrise from the observation deck of the orbital station. Earth lay below him, beautiful, battered, but alive. Cities glimmered in the morning light, rivers sparkled, and forests stretched endlessly. Humanity had survived. They had faced an enemy that had conquered countless civilizations, and they had prevailed. Not by chance, but by determination, courage, and unity. And across the galaxy the message was clear: One species, humans, had defied expectation. They had survived the impossible and had risen stronger than ever. Other civilizations, even those who had never encountered Earth, began to take notice. The galaxy had learned that humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and united. They were no longer a primitive species to dismiss. They were a force to respect. Lucas turned to Emily. "We've done more than survive," he said softly. "We've sent a message to the stars. Humanity is here, and we will not be ignored." Emily smiled. "And we will be ready for whatever comes next. The galaxy may fear us, respect us, or even challenge us, but we are prepared." Emma and Nathan stood beside Lucas, watching Earth together. "We've shown them what humans can do," Emma said. Nathan added, "And we will keep showing them. We will train, we will improve, and we will rise higher than ever before." For the first time, humanity felt the full weight of victory. It was not a victory of conquest, but a victory of survival, courage, and unity. Humans had proven that even the smallest species could face overwhelming odds and emerge stronger. The universe had underestimated them, and they had been proven wrong. As night fell over Earth, lights twinkled across cities and villages, each one a testament to resilience, hope, and life. Humanity had fought together, learned together, and grown stronger together. The stars above seemed brighter, as if reflecting the strength of a species that had earned its place in the galaxy. The Zarthians would remember this day. Other alien civilizations would remember it too. From now on, humans would not be ignored, dismissed, or underestimated. Across the galaxy, a new respect had been written in the stars. And on Earth, people slept that night with a quiet sense of peace. They had survived, they had triumphed, and they had proved one undeniable truth: humanity, united and brave, could rise above the stars and claim its place among the galaxy. The war had ended, but the story of humanity's courage had just begun. The Zarthian fleet disappeared into the darkness of deep space, leaving behind a trail of stunned silence. For the first time in centuries, their forces had been defeated, not by superior firepower, not by overwhelming numbers, but by the ingenuity, courage, and unity of a species they had long considered insignificant. On Earth, the damage was extensive. Cities had been scarred by stray alien weapons and debris from orbital battles. Fires burned in some regions, and emergency crews worked tirelessly to save lives and rebuild what had been damaged. Yet, despite the destruction, there was a feeling of triumph that flowed through every human heart. Humanity had survived. Against all odds, against an enemy that had dominated countless civilizations across the galaxy, Earth remained free. Commander Lucas Bennett stood before the cameras that broadcast across the planet. Soldiers, scientists, pilots, and ordinary citizens watched as he spoke, his voice steady, filled with the weight of recent battles and the hope of tomorrow. "We fought because we believed in each other," Lucas said. "We did not rely on luck or chance. We relied on courage, creativity, and unity, and those qualities are stronger than any weapon the galaxy can produce. Humans are not weak. We adapt. We rise. We survive. And together there is nothing we cannot face." Across the world, people listened in silence and in awe. Children looked up at the sky, imagining the battles that had taken place above them. Farmers paused in the fields, construction workers set down their tools, and families gathered around radios and screens, feeling a pride they had never known. Humanity had endured the impossible, and their resilience had become an example to all. In the orbital command center, Emily Hayes and Michael Hayes monitored the last signals from the retreating Zarthians. Captured technology was being analyzed, every piece of it scrutinized for insight into the enemy's strengths and weaknesses. Scientists worked in shifts around the clock, translating alien schematics into knowledge humanity could use. Emily smiled as she reviewed the data. "We've learned more in these weeks than in decades of study. This is only the beginning. If they return, we will be ready." Rachel Miller, her eyes bright with excitement, stood next to Emily. "And we'll teach the next generation," she said. "New pilots, new engineers, new scientists. They will know everything we have learned, and they will be even stronger." Emma Clark and Nathan Roberts were busy training young pilots, teaching them tactics that had once seemed impossible for humans to execute. They ran simulations, practiced missions, and survival exercises, passing down everything they had learned in battle. Each trainee knew that the universe was full of dangers, but they also knew that humanity was capable of rising to every challenge. Back on Earth, reconstruction continued at an unprecedented pace. Engineers, builders, and volunteers worked side by side, repairing cities and orbital stations. Even in the face of destruction, there was a sense of unity that had never been seen before. Communities rallied together, and people discovered strengths in themselves they had never imagined. The war had left scars, but it had also left hope. Lucas walked through a crowded command room, observing the work of scientists and strategists. He could feel the change in the air, the determination, the energy, and the belief that humanity could face anything. "We are no longer just survivors," he said quietly to Emily as he passed. "We are a force the galaxy will never ignore again." Emily nodded. "They underestimated us. They thought we were weak, and we showed them that even the smallest species can rise above the stars." Even beyond the solar system, whispers began to spread. Alien civilizations that had observed the war, some silently, some from afar, took note. Reports of humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and courage traveled faster than any message could, carried through signals and rumors across the stars. The Zarthians had underestimated humans, and other civilizations were learning the same lesson. The species they had dismissed as primitive was now one to be respected, and perhaps even feared. In orbit, Emma and Nathan reviewed maps of the battlefields, analyzing what had gone right and what could be improved. "We've come a long way," Emma said, her voice tinged with relief. "But this is not the end. They will return someday and we need to be ready." Nathan nodded. "And when they do, we will be stronger. We've learned from every move, every tactic, every decision. Humans never stop learning, never stop improving." The Zarthian commander, far away in a distant sector of space, observed the remnants of his fleet and muttered to himself. "Humans, they are unpredictable, dangerous, and united. We have misjudged them. We must remember this." On Earth, people celebrated cautiously. Streets were filled with quiet joy, smiles, and embraces. Families reunited after weeks of uncertainty. Children laughed in playgrounds, unaware of the horrors that had passed but soaking in the hope that had emerged. Humanity had survived a test that no one thought it could pass, and passed it not with fear but with courage and unity. Rachel Miller addressed her team of scientists. "Our work does not end here," she said. "We have captured technology, learned secrets, and discovered weaknesses. But our greatest strength is still ourselves, our creativity, our teamwork, our determination. That is what will keep us safe in the future." In training rooms, Emma Clark reminded her new pilots, "Remember what we've done. Remember that courage is as important as skill, and unity is stronger than any weapon. We have survived because we fought together."